Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Rick and Morty, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
And John McKenna.
Hi, everybody.
Today, Michelle, John, and I are recapping the latest episode of Rick and Morty, Morty's Mind Blowers. We'll be getting into all the mind blowers here. Still a weird name for the
it is kind of weird.
They just keep going with that name, but we're getting into all of the mind blowers on this podcast. We talk Rick and Morty every week here at Overly Animated. Find us at overlyanimated.com or subscribe to us on iTunes or your favorite podcasting app by searching Overly Animated Rick and Morty. We have our Rick and Morty specific feed or Overly Animated feed. We've been having 2 podcasts a week on Rick and Morty, almost through the season here, just this episode and 2 more after this, unfortunately. But expecting an explosive last few weeks, so subscribe to make sure you don't miss anything. Spoilers for Morty's Mind Blowers and previous episodes of Rick and Morty, but let's get right into things. Michelle, what did you think of this episode?
I thought this episode was all right. I did not think it was amazing. I did not think it was terrible. I thought it was just fine. It was a fine episode.
All right. Okay. What made it what made you less than enthusiastic about it?
The pacing was maybe a little fast, but it had a lot of good gags in there. Nothing I really considered laugh out loud funny, but it was by no means a bad episode. So I don't know. I felt pretty fine about it, but definitely no strong feelings on this one.
Okay, no strong feelings from Michelle. John, what do you think about this?
They have to even do their own spin on a clip show, don't they? I thought it's a clip show without clips. I thought, actually, I liked this one. I thought it was very enjoyable. It, after a couple pretty heavy episodes, it's just sort of nice just to have an episode you can just have quite a few laughs in without it tying into anything grander. So yeah, it's definitely not the best. It's probably not in the top half for me, but it was still very fun and enjoyable.
Okay. This was by no means a bad episode of TV or a bad episode of Rick and Morty. I still think we've had no bad episodes of the show. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I think this was a disappointing episode. There's not a lot here, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a shorter podcast. I think that I would have much preferred an interdimensional cable, as referenced in the episodes themselves. To me, this is a lot less successful than either of the interdimensional cable episodes, because they tried to have some sort of cohesive narrative throughout both of those, and I think we try much less hard here to have that. The best part of the episode, I think, is when it comes together at the end with Summer, and we it's a situation 4 or something, and we've been doing this a lot.
Yeah.
I really like that, but other than that, there's really not much there. I think we have these clips, we have the mind blowers, we'll go through them. They were all pleasant. I didn't find any of them particularly funny. I think last week's episode is much funnier and also much better of a narrative and much better characterization. So for me, a lot of people don't like interdimensional cable 2. I like it, but I think this is a worse episode than that. And I wouldn't, we're too close to it. It's just day of, but I think this is probably in the running for worst episode of the show. I didn't hate
of the show, not of the season, but of the show itself.
Yeah, I didn't hate it,
Wow.
But I don't know. Is my previous worst episode is Get Swifty. Is this that much better than that? I don't know. They're about the same. There's some highlights here. There's definitely some good lines, but I'm not thrilled with this. I don't know.
I think that every writer that on the show pitched in. Yeah. So in a sense, it was kind of maybe a fun little showcase for them. Maybe Dan Harmon told all the writers, pitch a 2-minute Rick and Morty story to me. We're going to use it in one episode. Go.
Yeah, exactly. They have 6 writers credited. They're definitely just the different mind benders are each written by a different writer. So for me, I think the highlights of this were not the mind benders themselves. They were the interactions in that room between Rick and Morty, and then they get mind wiped, and just everything, like all the like meta lines and every situation that's basically not a mind bender. That really stood out to me more, mind blower. That stood out to me more than any of the fake clips we got. What do you think about that, Michelle?
I mean, I think that's fair. I also agree. I think like Summer's like coming at the end was like one of my favorite parts, because then you realize like, oh, this has been happening like a lot, and wow, like Rick assumed that this was going to happen. But like, I don't know, some of the mind blower sequences I thought worked really, really well, and some I thought were like just okay. There was definitely a spectrum for me in terms of what I thought worked really well, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting talking about this one, because I just like don't feel as strongly for the vast majority of it.
Yeah.
In terms of the content. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't feel strongly that it's like terrible or the worst episode, you know.
Same.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's just definitely coming off of the high of maybe the best episode of the series last week.
Yeah, that's probably part of the problem too. Like, it's really hard. Like, in comparison to that, anything coming right off of that, it's going to be like we're going to look at it pretty critically. Yeah. It's a high thing to live up to.
It's possible with more distance, this episode will improve. Definitely. It's possible.
It's the red headband right after the first episode of Avatar Book 3.
That's a whole debate there. But,
oh man,
yeah,
the Footloose parody.
Yeah, that's much better episode than the premiere of Book 3. But anyway, John, what do you think of what did you prefer, the fake clips or like the situational material in that room?
Honestly, the fake clips I thought were kind of interesting, because I loved seeing the creativity of making a quick 2-minute story out of just with these two characters dealing with all these different ideas. It was I liked seeing them. They were all very interesting. They were all very different. I must admit, it's kind of nice to have a nice episode of vignettes, but at the same time, you know, the fact they're able to have those while also having that fit and the overall plot of the episode was really good. I loved how they did that. It still made an episode that you would want to watch again, rather than just have it be, you know, a throwaway.
Yeah,
it's fair.
Yeah, and this is something I think that the interdimensional cables did really well, is they just had a surrounding story in a way that it just doesn't make it like, it's not just an improv episode. Especially the first one really has an incredible story, and then the second one less successful, but still has like a pretty good surrounding narrative. And I think once again here they have a coherent surrounding narrative. It's just definitely has less depth than the previous ones. Michelle, what you got? You got the mind blowers clips or the interdimensional cable improv commercials?
In terms of which one was better?
What? Yeah, I mean, not necessarily which episode, but just which did you like seeing better?
Oh man. Well, honestly, I mean, I do think the mind blowers as a concept was really interesting. And like, I'd say like, I know we're going to get into like what our faves were later on in the podcast, but like there were some I thought were like pretty clever and great, and that I actually like had a feel for. They're sort of their own thing though, so it's kind of hard to compare them for me.
Okay, John, mind blowers versus interdimensional cable.
I feel like this one was a little bit better. Again, this could be recency bias on my part, but it's okay. But you know, I felt like it was definitely more creative. There were the gags sort of had a better stopping point. Mm-hmm. I mean, for some of the ones that you're mentioning, like the fake doors guy, I get the whole point the commercial kept going, but it was a case of too much dead space in between the setup and the punchline. I felt this one it was definitely a lot tighter, a lot more. It was definitely a lot tighter, a lot more interesting, and the ending with Summer just coming in and nonchalantly fixing everything was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good point. These are tighter. These are like more well executed. Like these are the interdimensional cable. I think those are way funnier. That's the main thing. Like I didn't really think any of these were particularly funny. So the interdimensional cable is way funnier, but there's like a downside just having them be improv is that they're just kind of awkward.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like a good point John make, is like these like actual people conceived and wrote them down, like spent more than like 5 seconds, you know, with them in their brain coming up with them, which is a pretty big difference.
Yeah, these are like coherent narratives, and the cable one struggled with that, I think. And yeah, you're right. There's like dead air, and there's just okay, it's the funny concept, and then like what else are we doing with it? And so in that regard, it's kind of an improvement, but I just think it's a step down humor wise, potentially.
It could also depend on just like what your kind of humor that you favor is. Because I don't know. I really love dumb humor, but sometimes like it's not good enough to count. But sometimes it's wonderful. So,
I don't know. I don't know. For me, it's just like if I want dumb humor, I'm watching anything other than Rick and Morty.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Usually, yeah, there was one or two of the mind blowers I actually thought were intelligence level potentially below the show.
Yeah, and that's how I felt too. Like there were a couple that stood out a lot.
I guess I'll bring it up now. The Squirrels one.
Squirrels one was my favorite. Oh, so good.
So I kind of love it, but it's also like, wow, this really didn't feel like Rick and Morty. It felt like pretty slapsticky. It felt like kind of a different show. That was odd to me. Like this didn't feel the typical like asorbic like skeptical type of perspective that the show usually has. It's like, oh, squirrels are running the world. Oh, that's cute. Anyway,
squirrels probably to bring down a government.
Yeah, very cute squirrels, but with like an actual threatening agenda. They had to leave that dimension because of the squirrels. They thought it was a pretty big threat.
Yeah, they did. Okay, so let's get into the mind blowers. Yeah, so which is your favorite mind blower? We have a list here. We have Moonspiracy, Morty's Menagerie, the whole enchilada, and then there's no more names as referenced in the episode. But Michelle, when you look back on it, which mind blower stands out the most to you?
Well, I do love the Squirrels one a lot, but Mortys Menagerie is just like, it's just so sad, you know? Like the other people get so excited about like contact with another like form of like intelligence, and the lady like leaves her like, Sweetums or whoever, and like goes with the other guy who had a liberal arts degree, and he still gets that was a pretty great gag. And they get there, and it's just like, it's the thing where like, like Rick kind of like primed him. He was like, "You'll do anything, Morty." He's like, "Yeah, I don't care." It's like, well, that's what you get. I mean, this is how Rick's mind works. Like, are you really surprised? So, I thought that one was really great.
I didn't get that impression from the mind blowers that they were a couple. That's Michelle's headcanon there.
Well, okay. She not the short guy, but like the other dude, they like hugs. I assumed maybe. I thought there was something there.
Maybe
go back and rewatch.
Maybe I was missing it. Yeah. Okay, so Michelle is Morty's Menagerie, also the Squirrels. John, which mind blower stands out most to you?
I'm gonna have to go ahead and say the one that stood out was the one with it was the big magnet where Rick's constantly trying to find a zip tie. He just plugs it. It's a zip tie. And then Morty used it, I guess, to find every Jessica in the entire...
Yeah, what did he type in? Redhead, right? Like, he must have...
Yeah, all of them were redhead. Yeah. That seemed to be the unifying factor.
Yeah.
I just thought that was just... It was kind of obvious. I felt like you knew that was where I was going to go. It's just still so funny that that's the first thing he thinks of when he's trying for it.
I buy it.
Also, I could really use one of those in my house, quite honestly.
Yeah, if just find anything, that'd be great.
Yeah, not redheads, but, the magnet.
Right.
Yeah, definitely one of those things that's like useful, but then it goes too far and it would like find everything from like a mile radius, even beyond your house or something. There's like, I think it's like Rick and Morty's take on like a 3D printer or something almost, just can do anything. So they got like shorter at the end, so that was like one of those one note gag ones. I'll highlight another one of the kind of shorter gag ones, the True Level. Experiencing like True Level, the leveler.
Oh my god, that was a great concept.
Yeah. Conceptually, that was the best one for me. Like, I love that Morty just freaks out after like having actually experienced that, and now everything's crooked.
It's like orgasmically.
I thought he was making fun of it at first, but then when they took him out of it, he was like, "No, I have to go back. Nothing makes sense." Where I was like, "Oh, that was real. Oh, wow. Okay, now his world's destroyed. Great job, Rick."
Yeah, I agree. It seems like it's fake at first, but then he just freaks out at being outside of that. Yeah. For me, that was like the one that like intellectually like intrigued me the most. I enjoyed that concept. Let's go through the other ones. Michelle, any least favorite off the top of your head?
Some of them I'm not gonna remember.
Okay, we'll go.
I liked the light switch one, but I don't know. That's probably not my least favorite, though. We should go through them.
Okay, let's go through them, and then we'll evaluate them. So first is Moonspiracy. The guy, I forget the guy's name, but yeah, he's Mr. Lunas. Yeah, Gordon Lunas. This is the longest one. Yeah, we had Principal Vagina back after a while. He's it's like he's like the smudge, and then stuff with like him being a pedophile, right? It's like Mr. Principal Vagina is like reading into it being code from Morty. Yeah, what do you think of this one, Michelle?
Oh man, I mean, it was like a very interesting concept, and I like vaguely felt bad for the guy, you know, taking his life and like being an ex-Marine, and then it was a smudge because it really did not look like a smudge at the beginning of the episode, but like it was kind of funny how they actually made that work. I felt pretty okay about this one.
John, what do you think?
I feel so bad for Mr. Lunas.
Guys, but he was a pedophile, though. Come on.
You care about him? No, he like hits him in the face. Like, who does that, Principal? Wow. Okay, going on a hunch here.
Well, it's like, I'm assuming he isn't, but it's just, it's so funny though because you go into it and you think, well, yeah, there probably could be a man on the moon. I mean, Rick's been on the moon, and probably so many other people have been on the moon in this universe. Why couldn't that be a thing? But turns out it was, but then having it be just a smudge, it was a great kicker at the end because you're like, oh my goodness, that's it's awful, but I still laughed at it.
Yeah, this was the most narratively complex one, so I enjoyed it on that level. Also bringing back Principal Vagina and this ridiculousness with like Morty being just like exasperated at the concept of it being a smudge, and then it confirming, The next one we talked about is Morty's menagerie, where they're in like the light bulb creature. Like that's a weird design, and then as Michelle mentioned, they trick the guys into coming. We got Michelle's take here. John, what do you think of this one?
It was alright. It pretty solid escape plot. Nothing was really stand out to me. It was I liked how Rick at the end said, "Yeah, sometimes I have to edit these to make it work narratively." Yeah, it's a good little.
It's a good question when Morty's like, "How would I know what they were thinking?" And it's like, editing.
Yeah, nice little. It's a little lampshade, but it worked.
Yeah.
It didn't really stand out to me because didn't have that sort of impending danger thing, which I guess makes it sort of work, which could have made it work a little bit better. But yeah, other than that.
Yeah, and we'll go through all the reactions to all of these. Yeah, I think for this one, I feel like they could have been. It could have very easily gone to a funnier place. It felt like pretty straightforward where we went. I do like the concept of like tricking the like NASA people, and then like my God, like I enjoyed all of that. But I feel like there's a better version of this we could have done. Next is the whole enchilada with Zigzag, the Floopian. Who needs to he needs to be killed by a great warrior to achieve an orgasmic afterlife. Michelle, thoughts on this one?
I like this one a lot. I love Morty like accidentally making this guy question everything right before he's supposed to get killed, and then having there actually be an afterlife, but then he like goes to the hell version of that because a car hit him instead.
Yeah.
He's like, I blame you for this! Like, as he's being pulled down, it was really great.
John, thoughts?
And there's your 2-minute existentialism for the day.
Yeah, exactly.
That was, again, it is one of those things that it's the main one of the reasons why I keep coming back to the show over and over again. It's like in a space of 2 minutes, they're able to have an existential debate on what is and isn't, what is heaven, what is hell. Then not only find out there is hell, but Morty accidentally sent him to hell because he wouldn't kill him, and so he gets hit by a car. And I'm watching all that going, wow, that was a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. And then it winds up being, they still have that punchline at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this one was fine. I don't know. It didn't really do much for me, but it seems like a classic Rick and Morty concept of the species that he has to like die to achieve this afterlife. Yeah. And then it's classic cynical humor from the show too with Morty.
Yeah, it's like even the ones that like weren't the funniest, like you still have to appreciate you really allows you to appreciate like the skill of the writers with a lot of these because they're able to pull such very abstract concepts and make it work in a 2-minute plot. Like, that's hard to do.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. You got to consider the runtime on these, and they are able to achieve a lot in a short amount of time, and they're all pleasant, even if they're not. Some are not laugh out loud funny. Yeah. Next is a short one. Beth chooses to spare Summer over Morty, and Rick shows up and he's like, I went to Phoebe instead of Titan. After 10 moons, it's time to stop naming and start numbering. He says.
Yeah.
The thoughts, Michelle?
I wish this one had more time because, like, I think part of what would have made it funny is, like, aftermath of that, like, confronting the mom, being like, wow, Beth, so really Summer over me, huh? Like, do you want to talk about that? But, like, there's not enough time to really get into it, so you just get her immediate reaction, and then Rick coming in to save the day.
Yeah, John?
Well, now we know who's Beth's favorite kid is.
I buy it.
No wonder why you get why they wanted to wipe it off. Also, Phoebe and Titan. I'm just gonna say, rest in peace, Cassini.
Don't understand, but John.
They're both moons of Saturn, and the Cassini spacecraft, which has been orbiting Saturn for 20 years, it's death dive this week.
We need to be more of
that's good to know.
Yeah, those are science facts of the day. Yeah,
science facts.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these at this point are trying to fit the structure of the episode. So this is like, why would Morty want to erase something like from his family or something? It's like trying to fit memories that Morty wants deleted and like in certain aspects of his life.
And you could see why. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Next we have the Morty turns into Volt's Mortatron, Destroyer of Worlds, with the worm thing inside him, and they need to like draw it out with love. But then they
start to get bored.
Yeah,
like essentially, yeah.
Summer and Beth can't handle it, and they're like, yeah. So Beth's like, we still love you, but I do have a thing at 6.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna be an intermission. Beth was really good here. Thoughts, Michelle?
Oh yeah, I know I did enjoy this one a lot, and I actually felt like pretty bad for Morty, especially when he keeps going back in. He's like, you guys, like, oh, sorry, sweetie. Oh yeah, we still love you.
Yeah, John?
When I think about those two stories together, though, it actually gets more hilarious. It's like they love them, but it's like, do we love you enough to get a mutant sucking giant worm out of your body fully? Maybe not.
Oh, if it takes too long, probably not.
Yeah, I mean, we have shit to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like Beth being featured in both those. We're like ramping up into the Beth episode next week, so I enjoy that. Good use of Beth here before that. We'll talk about that at the end. Next is Vanzenulon 9 with Bebo.
Oh, poor Bebo.
They have to use Bebo to survive the Arctic night, but then Rick was like, is this Vanzenulon 9 or Vanzenulon 7? Yeah, Michelle?
R.I.P. Bebo.
Yeah, Bebo was pretty cute.
Yeah, it was. They made him cute and fuzzy on purpose.
Yeah, John, thoughts on this?
It might be warm inside, but that can't be comfortable.
Well, yeah, you know.
But it's warm though. All those huge organ guts just, move around in.
And yeah, poor Bebo. He led them to water.
Yeah, it was nice, but now he's dead.
For no reason.
For no reason.
Yeah, this made me think of No Man's Sky. This one, it's like you got to get back in your craft before the temperature drops. Anyway, I thought of No Man's Sky a lot from Rick and Morty this season. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. But next we have the Granite one, which is just Morty making fun of Rick for saying you shouldn't take things for granted.
It's great that was something that he felt strongly enough to get rid of from his memory.
Yeah. Yeah, I like conceptually.
The Seinfeld reference for the win.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very relatable and like misunderstanding an idiom and then feeling embarrassed about it. Interesting that like Rick the old man here and then Morty's like a kid and he's like making fun of him for it. Yeah, Morty's like, what are you, a boulder, a rock person?
No, it was really good.
Yeah. Next is the interrogation of the alien that turns out it's jacking him off and not like torturing him.
Oh God.
Yeah, okay, this one might be my least favorite. It's just like, okay, whatever. But like
Too crass?
All right, then. I don't know. I mean, he didn't really have Morty's consent to, like, yeah. I don't know.
No, yeah, definitely morally questionable, obviously.
Morally questionable on those grounds.
Yeah. Rick says, if we can kill our enemies but we can't jack them off, then how are we better than them?
That's an interesting moral question.
Yeah.
But there was no we in that, though. There was no Rick jacking him off. It was only Morty.
Yeah, it was Morty. John, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, maybe Rick would have to change his tune if he's the one jacking him off. But again, actually, that is a good... I'm still thinking about that moral question. Are we better than our enemies if we can't jack them off?
I don't think it's that deep. I think it's a nonsensical question.
Why isn't it that deep, Dylan?
I think it's completely nonsensical.
Maybe it is. Maybe this is the next topic in the philosophy classes of Oxford University.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, kind of, maybe like a philosophy parody. I don't know. I like that line. That made me think of Terry Foltz. That whole Morty's mind.
Terry Foltz is way better than that segment.
Terry is not.
Don't you dare compare.
I mean,
Terry
I was
Foltz
like,
is so good.
I was like, is he touching his Terry folds? Like, is that what's happening?
No, those are very different. Those are not folds. Those are just saggy things.
They're like sacks.
Very different. Yeah.
Very different. Yeah. This show definitely likes fold, sacks, lumps, all those things on Aliens. Definitely hit on that humor a lot of times here. Next is the level shelf one, which I talked about. Yeah, Morty says, everything's crooked, reality is poison, we're lambs to the cosmic slaughter.
Reality is poison! Yeah. He's losing it fast.
Yeah.
Well, you probably would too if you experienced the most ultimate formal level.
Would you?
Absolutely.
Would you? I don't know. I don't know if I buy the concept.
Morty was like beside himself with excitement over there.
Yeah.
It's like if you found the world's most comfortable bed and you slept in it for like one night. You go back to your regular bed and you'll be like, what the fuck is this shit? I can't deal with this anymore.
Yeah. But like to the nth, to an atomic level degree, yeah.
Yeah, to an atomic level degree.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that one. Next is the Leftmost Life switch one, which we talked about. Yeah, and then it's Rick's like speech about how Morty made the initial erroneous click of the switch, yeah, and then ended by the shameful unflipping of the initially flipped switch.
Morty just owns up. He's like, yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, it's basically how it all shaked
come
out.
with me.
Yeah, but then they just like...
He's like exasperated about the fact that all those people are dead now. He's just like, it's such like an obnoxious annoyance, but like not more than that, obviously, because he's Rick.
Yeah, and then they just have to... then there's just bodies in this like storage locker, yeah.
I mean, he was probably going to use them for something. That's probably why he's annoyed. I mean, dead bodies clearly were very much an inconvenience to his day.
Inconvenience, but nothing more.
Well, yeah, it's Rick. I mean, he's probably not that attached to... He's not attached to anything. Haven't we figured that out by now?
I like how Morty keeps asking what's like happening and who they are. He's like, just grab a shovel! He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, this made me... I don't know if it's a specific reference to it, but it made me think of early time travel movie. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Primer, like a classic... time travel movie. I think it's on Netflix, but yeah, there's like you store the body in the like a storage room or something. I don't know if that was bad. Made me think of that. Next we have the zip tie magnet, which we talked about. Went over that whole thing already, pretty short. We have the Squirrels, who are talking about like coups in Guatemala, picking the new pope and chemtrails.
I just really liked their dialogue, and I love him like he's been looking at us a long time, and they start to talk to him. Hey, boy, we're magical squirrels. Yeah. If you can hear us, let us know. We'll grant you a wish.
Yeah, the $1.99 on a possible Doolittle, they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick's like, pack your shit. You fucked with squirrels, Morty.
You fucked with squirrels. See, Rick knows how serious
we gotta pack up and move to a new reality, Morty.
Told you we can't do this more than like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, we're fucked over here because of these damn squirrels, Morty. He says, yeah.
I really liked it.
What do you think, John?
Damn squirrels. But it was hilarious to know that the furry animals in our world are silently plotting to overthrow everything and secretly install governments. I mean, I suspected the raccoons personally, but squirrels, yeah. Next obvious candidate.
Raccoon's too stupid, I guess. Yeah. I like the concept, but it definitely feels a little juvenile for the show. But I do think it's like the funniest of these, though. Like the Rick at the end freaking out, I really liked. So then last is the montage that we get. Let me go over the scenes that we see. Some of them are very fast here, but we have like Morty in an alien. We have an alien pooping out Morty. We have Morty beating Rick at checkers. That's it.
Yes, that was good.
That was really good. Yeah, that needs to be deleted. So a guy like cutting off Morty's hands in like a bar or something. It's like Morty's 13th birthday. And like the candles go into Rick's eyes or something. Them skiing and like Rick crashing. They're burying Santa. That was another one.
Oh yeah, that stood out.
Morty inside another alien. Juggling Rick, someone juggling Morty parts, been like dismembered. A Morty ghost. That was a pretty quick one too. A Morty dog. And then
there's the Morty dog.
Yeah, there's a Morty dog. A dog with like Morty head. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then last and most prominently is Mr. Poopy Pants, Mr. Poopy Butthole, Mr. Poopy Butthole proposing to Morty.
Yes, I do remember that one.
Ship.
And he looked so excited about it.
OTPs.
He was ready to commit.
He's back. Mr. Poopy Butthole. We're expecting him to be back. Well, I mean, not really, but it's his third episode appearance here in this one shot of proposing to Morty. John, you're shipping it. Do you have a headcanon of what the circumstances are?
I think it's just Mr. Poopy Butthole maybe just likes Morty. Does it have to be anything more than that? He's had it rough, all right?
Yeah.
He's just been shot. Yeah. He had to go through rehab. He just wants to settle down, maybe have a nice quiet life.
He did propose, so he seems pretty confident that Morty will accept his proposal.
I think Morty seemed enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
He was into it. Yeah.
Right, of course.
This is the alternate universe where Beth doesn't shoot Mr. Poopy Butthole, yeah. Then this romance develops, I think, is what's going on.
Yeah. Wait, why does it have to be an alternate universe? Why couldn't it just been, he's finally back on his feet?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's true. You're covered, reassessed his life priorities, made the proposal.
Realized that life is fragile.
Yeah.
Especially when you're around Beth.
Yeah, and he falls in love with this 14-year-old boy. Yeah. There you go. That was definitely a highlight there, seeing that 2 seconds of that. I enjoyed this montage. I feel like my highlight is just Morty winning at checkers, like that's burying Santa and then the proposal at the end.
Yeah.
I will say this. I'm noticing something. I've noticed there's one common thread in a lot of the memories that Rick was trying to get rid of. They're all moments where Morty was better than him at something or was able to get in a jab at Rick that Rick couldn't defend.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Which says a lot about the relationship between Rick and Morty, that Rick cannot, under any circumstances, have Morty remember a time where he was actually better than him.
Yeah.
It's pretty messed up if you think about it.
Yeah, definitely this whole episode messed up. It's just deleting any experiences that Morty can't live with or that Rick did not want him to have, yeah.
And it's not even like the damaging. It's not even like Morty did anything so damaging Rick couldn't let him remember it. It's like it's stuff that just it's like innocuous stuff. You wouldn't think they would get to a super genius like Rick. Like, who cares if he loses a game of checkers or he can't ski?
Yeah, definitely in that segment. I mean, some of the earlier ones, Morty probably chose to not remember, like what happened to Mr. Lunas. He probably didn't want to live with the guilt.
Right. Well, I'm talking about all the ones that are. I'm talking about all the red ones, like the ones in which Rick is not. The ones that Rick wanted deleted, not the ones Morty wanted deleted.
Yeah. That Morty tries to figure out the color coding, and Rick is like, "You're reading too much into it." Yeah. Let's go through. I thought the most notable quotes of the episode were all from these in-between segments between the mind blurs, so I'm going to go through all the best ones here. Start with, and of course, in the beginning of the episode, we had the truth tortoise. Who could forget the truth tortoise?
I almost forgot the truth tortoise.
Oh, well, that's because you looked into its eyes, yeah.
It's a truth tortoise. They capture truth tortoise as they're racing through an MC Escher painting, being chased by alien Mick Jagger.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, was it a vampire?
I don't know. Combination of things. Yeah, he's just like look kind of punk or something. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, is that Mick Jagger, David Bowie, Ozzy Osbourne?
It could be any of those.
I was cycling through all my mid 20th century British long black haired punk stars.
Yeah, and it also reminded me of the vampires from that one episode. But yeah, that was a visually striking intro with the truth tortoise. Then to intro the episode, Rick's like, let's watch some interventional cable. Remember how we used to do that? It's like, oh, you think that'll be the last time they reference this? No, constantly. We got, this is where we archive all the experiences you begged me to remove from your life, lest you go insane. I call them Morty's mind blowers. And we'll be doing it this year we'll be doing this instead of interventional cable, says Rick. So yeah, definitely like the self-referential of that there. After the Moonspiracy one, Morty's like, Jesus, I made that guy kill himself. And Rick's like, only in a literal sense. I enjoyed that. And then Rick says, they don't all have titles, though. It's not a Simpsons Halloween special. More like a clip show made of clips you never saw.
Meta.
Yeah.
Meta.
I like the Simpsons Halloween special drop there, yeah. And then Morty's like, how come as we referenced this before, how come I was able to see all those other people's memories? I wouldn't have been around for that. And Rick's like, sometimes I have to do a little editing, Morty, make the mind blowers play a little better upon revisiting. Oh, yeah. And then we talked about Morty's like, after the zigzag one, I could have learned a lesson if I let myself remember them. Rick says, don't break your back trying to create a lesson, Morty. It's a free-form anthology. I'm getting annoyed you're not hearing that. Which I enjoy that. Morty not buying into the concept of the episode, yeah. And then we had his file names for all of the mind blowers: Booger, AIDS, Booger, AIDS, Booger, AIDS, Copy is the name of the next segment. We after they forget their memory, which we haven't even talked about much, they like mind wipe themselves. They're an adolescent boy and an elderly man in a confined space. Rick's like, don't look at me like that. For all we know, you could be the fucking weirdo. And we even talked about Men in Black 2 gags. Rick's like, it's like Morty's like, it's like Men in Black. Rick's like, I have Men in Black 2 in here. So you get the general idea. Not quite. It's basically an endless string of callbacks. All right, save it for YouTube.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I like save it for YouTube, yeah. And then later we have, Rick says, I don't know much other than Men in Black 2 is a joyless cash grab.
Just ripping into it. I've honestly have not seen Men in Black 2. This seems to be a good choice based on this episode.
Honestly, this episode almost makes me want to see it just because they're bashing it.
You haven't seen it either?
No, I saw Men in Black 1, though. And I've heard Men in Black 3 was supposed to be pretty good, though.
Look,
Dylan, have you seen Men in Black 2?
I mean, I definitely have. I remember...
Can you confirm?
No, I remember zero from it. Come on. Like, why would I remember anything from that movie? I also have seen Men in Black 3. Could tell you zero about that one, too. So, I feel like Delaney's talked about Men in Black a few times on the podcast. We did get her take on that next week. But yeah, it's a good reference here. Then we get the whole thing with Summer at the end with scenario 4, and then she dark guns them. She says, I don't get paid enough for this shit. And then wakes them up and like positions them so they're like, how did we fall asleep during interventional cable? And then they're like going off on Summer.
That was a little weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like the language with dumb bitch, pretty sexist language, but it's definitely intentional on the part of the show. It's like, oh wow, Rick and Morty are assholes. Summer's the one saving them, and she's doing all the work. Yeah, that's like,
I'm allowing it. It made it funnier.
I don't think it necessarily made it.
It was definitely
I think they could have been a
It was like intended for that purpose, but you weren't buying it, Michelle.
I wasn't buying it.
It was.
I think they could have achieved that in a different way, especially because, like, I don't know, it's a little confusing to think of, like, well, like, how much are they going to remember, like, because that mind wipe seems to have cleared their memories entirely, and now, like, they seem to think that they've been out for, like, what, like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, they installed them back to a previous memory state.
Setting.
Yeah. It's like they hit the reset button.
Yeah, they could have lost more, though, because I don't think the ones that Summer put into them again were necessarily up to date. Like, it's possible we just lost the season in their heads.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Like, it would make sense to me. Like, it was just she just grabbed ones from wherever. I doubt Rick's constantly updating them.
He might have. I mean, we probably didn't see it, but he probably, reloaded their memories right before they went into the chamber, put them in the lockbox just in case. I mean, he thinks that far ahead usually.
Yeah, I mean, this is him thinking that far ahead. But yeah, I love the concept of Summer just being assigned to clean up this nonsense. Definitely brought the episode together.
And just totally nonchalant about it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I gotta do this again? Fine.
Yeah. And just highlighting how much of assholes Rick and Morty are, yeah, for sure. And then at the end, they're like, fuck this noise. Let's go on. I like fuck this noise in the show. Let's go on a classic Rick and Morty adventure. And Summer's like, no wonder why you're constantly fighting with each other and behind schedule.
Behind schedule, yeah.
I don't know about ending on such a meta line like that. Like, clearly that's reference to show's production. This episode's very, very meta. Potentially too much, though. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely meta, especially when you remember that the reason why the season was so delayed was because Dan and Justin were actually arguing.
Definitely a reference to that. Yeah.
It was definitely a lot of artistic disagreement. It's fine. I mean, the show's allowed to be meta. It's earned the right to be meta.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this isn't something they would have done in season 1, but we're at this point now. And I do think this episode specifically is the byproduct of the kind of writing delays that they had. Originally they said that they were intending to do an interventional cable episode. The season was supposed to be 13 episodes, but they had to condense. They were too far behind schedule during the writing process. So I think probably last season they talked about how the Purge episode was written pretty last minute. They're like, oh crap, we need another one. We need to move on with production and start animating. This year, I haven't read this for sure, but I'd be pretty confident that this episode was put together pretty fast in the writing process.
It actually, I would not be surprised either if that's the case.
I think it might have just been a case where, they were probably, every single vignette that we saw was probably an episode idea for a full length one.
Yeah, they might have gone into their files or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but then the time was like, oh crap, shit, we are so behind schedule. You know what? We'll leave these ideas for now. Let's do one clip show. We'll lump them in. We won't have to do too much work on that, just so we can spend more time on all these other ones. And some of these episodes that we've seen so far, they look like lengthy time commitments. Tales from Citadel was 99% Justin Roiland. I mean that must have taken weeks to
record.
For his voice.
Yeah. I think it's a good strategy. I'm glad that they gave Tales from the Citadel its time, during the writing process, and that they didn't rush it in favor of trying to make this episode more coherent. I'm fine with this episode being what it is if it gave us Rick Lantis mix-up. That's worth it.
This whole season, if this is the product of, if what we've seen this season is the product of 2 years of writing, I am totally fine with that because it is paying off.
Yeah, I think a lot of what they're talking about in interviews is that it wasn't like they meticulously worked the entire time. It was a lot of revisiting their own work and doubting themselves. I think it's, from my perspective, this being the most disappointing episode of the season, it's frustrating that this came about as a result of production inefficiencies. It's if they had their shit together more, we wouldn't have had the worst episode of the season. In my opinion, might have been better. So it is what it is, though. The season's been great, and last episode was incredible.
It's the scoop of orange sorbet in between your 5th and 6th course at a 12-course banquet.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way of phrasing that. I guess it's an interesting analogy. I'll take that. Yeah.
Well, it's the power. You have very 5 rich courses, or in our case 8 rich courses. You need that little bit of lightness in between before you get ready for the next one. Otherwise, you're gonna be exhausted from all the very heavy content we've had so far.
Yeah, and it's in the same spot as these on the other season. So, you're right. Hopefully looking like an explosive finale. Before we get to next episode, the Stinger, we had first of all, we had the hard rock version of the end credits. That was, I don't know why I needed that, but that was cool, I guess.
It was there. Yeah.
And then
great instrumental work.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And the Stinger is Jerry's Mind Blowers.
Oh my god.
They need to send Gobo home. They're like, Jerry's humanity.
Jerry fucked it up so bad.
Humanity's instinctive
left him in the car. He got heat stroke.
Damn it, Jerry.
They say humanity's instinctive dismissal of him saved a man's life. About Jerry. You're supposed to bring him Gobo to the hill. Was he in your car? He was in your car, yeah. Dibs on his stuff, says Rick at the end about Gobo. Michelle, thoughts on Jerry here?
Oh my god. Well, I think he should have kept this memory. I think it could have helped him not be so stupid later. But, maybe it caused him too much angst afterwards and he wasn't remembering to eat or something. So they had to get rid of it from his brain.
You're like, maybe I'll give him a pass because he couldn't eat or something, whatever.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
It's it's amazing that Jerry only has one of those moments.
I assume
where he had to take out of his memory.
Yeah, I guess maybe the joke is that he's already has so much shit in his memory and so much self doubt that like how could there be such a room of things taken out? But at the same time, he probably fucked up a lot like this. Did you enjoy the stinger, John?
It was hilarious. I was like, damn it, Jerry! I was rooting for you, man. I was rooting for you.
I was not. That's also
we're aware by this point. Yeah.
It's like, well, it's in Jerry's past. I mean, maybe he hasn't learned, has he? No, never mind. Carry on.
Nope, hasn't learned. Yep, as established.
Oh.
But yeah, will that be the last appearance of Jerry? I assume not. But next week we have the ABCs of Beth. And the preview talks about Fruipy Land, which is the land Rick made for Beth when she was younger. Used to lock me up in this glorified chicken coop. Rick says the river is a literal rainbow. And Beth says, you're supposed to put elbow grease in your daughter. Rick says, gross. And then this Rick quote is great, is dad makes a toilet look like R2-D2 and it breaks the front page of Reddit, but I'm Charles Manson because I gave you your own world instead of an iPad. Already contender for line of the episode for next week. That
was quick.
With the Reddit reference there, yeah. Michelle, you looking forward to the Beth episode?
No, totally. I really like Beth. I want to see more Beth.
This is a great concept, like the dimension that Rick made Beth when she was younger.
It'll say a lot about Beth and Rick's relationship, I'm assuming, so I'm all in for that.
Yeah, maybe flashbacks. I don't know. That'd be very exciting. John, looking forward to this?
I would definitely love a Rick and Beth episode. I feel like that hasn't been explored as much as it should so far. Yeah,
definitely hyped for ABC's of Beth next week. And after that, the week after that is our Richurian Morty date season finale, which is, we have a lot of elements in place here for this being a good one.
Wait, we're already 2 weeks from the season finale?
Yep.
Oh no! What am I gonna do on Sunday nights now? Sleep?
Yeah, I guess sleep, right?
Sleep's overrated.
Yeah, not worth it. I'd rather be watching Rick and Morty, but we still have 2.5 weeks here to go during the season, so we'll enjoy it while it lasts. We'll have our panel out sometime this week. Date not set yet. Look for that at some point on our Rick and Morty iTunes feed at overlyanimated.com. Search for Rick and Morty, as mentioned before. Last thoughts on episode, Michelle?
I feel more fondly about it now that we've discussed it for like an hour than I did going into this, so that's a plus.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
John?
This is a good episode, and also next year, given this was on Emmy Sunday, if Rick and Morty isn't nominated, or if an episode from this season does not win Best Animated Program next year's Emmys, I'm declaring war on the Academy.
Yeah, I mean the animation ones are a joke, but
this better win. One of these episodes better.
win.
You got Lock Rick Lantis mix up in for the nomination. Like, come on, that's an easy one.
I swear, if it loses to a Robot Chicken or a Family Guy, I'm grabbing a truncheon.
Yeah, Bob's Burgers won this year. Also, Rick and Morty should just be nominated for Best Comedy, like not even the animation category. It should just be in Best Comedy Show. It's pretty absurd that it's not. Honestly, it's like way funnier than this season of Rick and Morty is better than last season of Veep, like by a lot. Veep won this year. Veep's a good show, but it's the better show.
The last animated show to be nominated for Best Comedy was Family Guy. Before that, it was 50 years between Family Guy and the Flintstones.
I think a lot of people, including me, would argue that this is a better show than Family Guy ever was.
Totally. Family Guy didn't win. I'm just trying to figure out what Family Guy did that year to earn that distinction.
I think they need a campaign for it, but it's all about exposure. The Emmys aren't necessarily based on actual quality. It's all
quality, common sense.
Nah. Anyway, more on that. More on that at overlyanimated.com. We talk about award shows stuff. We have our end of the year awards, and definitely Rick and Morty at least will be in contention for our awards. But yeah, check out overlyanimated.com for everything. New is a Discord channel for us for text chat. So come chat with us about Rick and Morty at overlyanimated.com/Discord. We have our own Rick and Morty channel, and we get come talk about how the show should be nominated for an Emmy, among other topics. What do you think of this episode? Come talk with us on Discord about that. overlyanimated.com/Discord. And you can consider supporting us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Michael, aka Wazowski. And thanks as always to our Patreon executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Andy. Back for the panel later in the week. Check out our BoJack Horseman coverage, going through every episode of that. It's a lot. And
it is a lot.
Michelle's been on quite a lot of them. Yeah. BoJack also should be nominated for Best Comedy. Damn it.
Yes, please, for real.
Yeah, two pretty obvious ones that shows way underappreciated in the general public. But yeah, check out our BoJack coverage and everything else. Overlyanimated.com. Subscribe to us. You don't miss any more of our Rick and Morty coverage. We'll see you for our panel and be back for ABC's of Beth next week. Thanks for listening, guys. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.